various materials have been used in order to form and in order to prepare the containers for your aerosol packing. Okay, so various materials that have been used are, you have glass containers. These glass containers can be coated or it can be uncoated. Okay, so you have a plastic coated glass container or you can have an uncoated glass containers. You have metal containers. Okay, the metal containers, different types of metal containers that are there includes, your tin plated steel, your aluminum containers, and containers made from stainless steel. Okay, so these are the three materials that are used for preparation of your metal containers of aerosol, that is tin plated steel, aluminum, and stainless steel. Apart from glass and metal, the other type of containers that are preferred are plastic containers. Okay, so these are three types of containers, that are glass containers, okay, metal containers, and plastic containers. Plastic basically in an aerosol packing, it is basically used, in order to coat the. So when we talk about the coated containers, okay, glass coating. This glass coating is given by plastic. Also, many a times this metal is been coated. Glass is coated from outside with plastic, whereas these metal containers are coated from inside with the help of the plastic. So plastic basically is used for coating of this glass or metal containers. Let us now see these containers, that is the each container in great detail. Let us talk first about the glass containers. Now, the things that you have to remember about the glass containers is, the first thing is, the glass containers must be very precisely engineered. Okay, why you say that it should be precisely engineered? Because it has to withstand the pressure that is there inside the container. Okay, so there is a pressure that is there inside the container. This pressure is exerted by whom? This pressure is exerted by your propellant. We talked about yesterday that the propellant exerts the pressure onto many things. It exerts the pressure onto the wall, it exerts the pressure onto the formulation, and also it exerts the pressure onto the walls of the container. So your glass container should have to be very precisely engineered so that it maintains the pressure that is provided by the propellant from inside, right? So it should resist that pressure that is there from inside. It should withstand that pressure that is there from inside. Okay. Hence, many a times, as these glass are subjected to breaking or shattering because of the internal pressure that is there inside. So many a times, what we have to do is we have to use the product, okay, that have either lower pressure or have lower percentage of propellants. Okay, so you have to use these propellants that are there inside in lower percentage, or whatever pressure is there inside, okay, so that the pressure that is there inside gets lower and shattering of these bottles do not take place, right? There are two types of aerosol containers, as we have said earlier. Okay, one is uncoated glass container, whereby the glass container is not coated with plastic, right? It is less in cost as the coating cost has been decreased, so it is less in cost. It is having high clarity. All the contents that are there inside can be seen, okay, and you can view the contents that are there inside it. Okay, so that is the advantage of your uncoated glass. Whereas the second type of glass that you have is the plastic coated glass. These plastic coated glass are, they give the coating to this container from outside. Okay, as they give this coating to the container from outside, if there is some internal pressure that has been developed, and if the glass breaks from inside, this plastic coating is going to prevent this shattering of the glasses. So the shattering of the glasses is being prevented because of this plastic coating. Okay, now it has to not only withstand the pressure that is there inside the container, but also the pressure. Kindly mute your mic. I don't know who is speaking. Please mute your mic. Everybody, please mute your mic. Please mute your mic. Steve Saji, mute your mic. Lochan Shubra, mute your mic. Shubra Lochan, if you can hear me, please mute your mic. Yeah. Uh, yeah, the second thing that I was telling you, it is not only the pressure that is exerted by the propellant, but many a time, okay, a pressure is exerted when you are fitting the ball onto this container. Okay, so you have a neck over here, and onto the neck, what the ball is fitted, and the process is known as crimping process. So this glass container should also withstand the crimping process also, the pressure that is exerted during the crimping. Okay. So that crimping process, okay, during that process, there are chances that the neck might get broken. Okay, you have a neck over here. This glass container has a neck on which this, what you call that, this, if you can see over here, valve is being placed, right? So on the neck, a valve is being placed. So there are chances that this neck might get broken because of the pressure that is exerted during crimping. Okay, the process of fixing this valve onto this container, this process is known as crimping. Okay, so during this crimping process, there are chances that the neck might break. So this plastic coating also helps in withstanding this pressure also. Basically, the pressure which is exerted by the aerosol or by the propellant, okay, in order to withstand that pressure, this glass coating is very, very helpful. Now, these glass containers basically are used for your topical and your meter dose aerosols. Okay, so for topical aerosols also and meter dose aerosols, both of them, this glass container is being used. Now, there are some basic advantage that the glass container is having. First of all, is the chemical compatibility. Most of the glass containers are chemically compatible as compared to your metal containers. Okay, it has the advantages that it does not undergo corrosion as again your metal containers. Your metal containers can undergo corrosion, your glass containers do not undergo corrosion. Secondly, they have a very good aesthetic value. If you can see this glass container, they can be formulated in different designs. They can be given different shapes, and designs can be given to this glass container. So aesthetically also, they are very much acceptable, right? This glass container, because they have a great degree of freedom of designing. Okay, so these are some of the advantages. That is, this chemical compatible, it does not undergo corrosion as compared to that of metal containers. Okay, it does not undergo leaching or sorption as compared to your plastic containers. So your plastic container has the disadvantage of leaking and absorption, whereas your glass container does not have this disadvantage. Okay. Now this glass container can range in different sizes. It can range from near about 50 to 30 ml. Okay, it can go up to 100 ml also. Then it is primarily used for solution aerosols. Then usually the suspension aerosols, they are not preferred. Why I said solution aerosols over here is because the suspension aerosols are not that much preferred to be filled inside the glass container, because the suspended particles are visible. Okay, so as the suspended particles are visible, so aesthetically it is not that much appealing. Okay, whereas a solution can be easily packed. Okay, and as whereas a suspension is having the problem of aesthetic appeal. Then these containers, basically I talked about the neck, if you remember. Okay, these containers are having 20 of neck finish. So the neck finish, that this is the container, so this is your neck, right? So the neck finish is near about 20 Why this neck finish is important? Because inside this neck finish, what you're inside this on this neck, what you are going to fix is you are going to fix your balls. Okay, and hence this neck finish is very important, which in case of glass usually is 20 right? Moving ahead, okay, to a plastic container now. As I've talked about earlier, plastic containers basically they are used to give coating to the glass container from outside. Okay, so when they give the coating to the glass container from outside, so it makes the glass more resistant to the accidental breakage, and it also prevents the glass from shattering into the fragments. If at all it is broken from inside, then it prevents the shattering of the glass, right? It also is useful in coating the metal containers. Okay, if you coat the metal container from inside, then it is going to improve the corrosion resistance power of your metal container. And if the corrosion is if it is going to prevent the corrosion of the metal, okay, then it is also going to enhance the stability of your formulation. The plastic material that is usually used is polyethylene naphthalate and polyethylene terephthalate. Okay, these are the materials that have been used for coating of your glass or your metal container. Now, this plastic, they also, this plastic coating, etc., this also helps, as I told you earlier, to absorb the shock, okay, during the crimping operation. Okay, as I told you, the valve is usually fixed onto the on the container. Okay, so there is a little bit of shock that is being given to that. Little bit of shock is exerted while this process is being carried out. So this plastic also helps to absorb that shock. Okay, and hence it decreases the danger of breakage around the neck. Okay, plastic also gives you an additional advantage that it protects the content from UV light. So if you have a glass container, then this glass container is going to get exposed to UV light, and it may spoil your formulation. Okay, it may degrade your formulation. So if you give it a plastic coating, then it is going to protect the content from ultraviolet light. It also acts as a mean of identification, because you can give different colors to your plastic coating. Okay, so this coating can be given different colors, and as it gives different colors, so it also acts as a means of identification. Now this plastic container as such, okay, coating is very common, but the container as such has a very limited success. Okay, because these propellants, okay, or the vapors that are present inside, they are permeable to this plastic. Okay, and because of this permeability problem of the vapor phase that is present inside the container, this plastic container as such has a very limited success. For coating, they are very widely used. Okay, but as a container, it has a very less success. So you won't find you won't find plastic containers as such being used as a for aerosols. You will see that the containers basically are made up of either glass, or they are made up of the metals, and the metals from inside may be coated by plastic, and the glass containers from outside may be coated by plastic. Okay, that is the scene that you usually see when you see about the packing of the aerosol. Okay, so as I said, these plastic containers have very limited success. One is because of the permeability problem, okay, of your vapor phase inside the container, and second is because of the drug plastic interaction that takes place. Because of this drug plastic interaction and because of this permeability problem, these plastic containers have very limited success, but they are very successful, as I said earlier, in coating of your metal as well as your glass container. Okay, now let us move to the third type of container, that are metal containers. Now, as I told you earlier, these metal containers are three materials can be used. Okay, three metals can be used. One, you can use steel, which is tin plated, so tin plated steel. The second material that is being used is aluminum, and the third material that is being used is stainless steel. Let us see about the first material, that is tin plated steel container. So it is basically a steel. Okay, it is a sheet of steel that is coated by tin, hence it is tin plated steel container. So you have a sheet of steel, okay, which is coated by tin by electrolytic process. So you have an electrolytic process, and you use that electrolytic process in order to plate this tin onto your steel container, right? After coating this, what you do is usually cut this sheet into three pieces, that is bottom, top and the body, and you join this together by soldering or by welding process. Okay, so you join this together. Usually instead of soldering, you usually prefer welding process, okay, for joining it. There are two reasons for it, because welding basically it saves your time also, manufacturing time also of your container, and secondly it decreases the product or container interaction. Okay, so the product container interaction is being saved because of your welding. Hence welding is more preferred instead of soldering, right? This is moving ahead with tin plated steel containers. Now these are most widely used, right, containers for aerosol packing. They are lightweight. Your aluminum also is very lightweight. Your tin plated steel containers are also very lightweight. They are relatively inexpensive as compared to your stainless steel. Okay, so if you take stainless steel, that definitely is a very good container, but that is expensive in nature. Whereas if you take just a steel plate and if you coat it by tin, it gives you the advantages of protection also. It is lightweight also, okay, and it is relatively inexpensive also, right? Now for some products, if you are packing some of the products, then this tin provides a very necessary, all necessary protection, right? There is also a problem that steel is having, that steel usually has interaction also with many of the containers. Therefore you have to give a very special protective coating is applied on the steel tin sheet, okay, prior to you fabricate it, okay, so that the formulation that is present inside the containers, okay, does not corrode the material, okay, and the interaction between the tin and the formulation does not take place. As you want to prevent this, hence what you're going to give is, you can give a protective coating. Mostly most of the material, most of the metal containers that you are going to see further, that is for aluminum also, these types of coatings are given. These types of coatings however are not required for stainless steel container. Okay, if you have a stainless steel container, you don't have to give this type of coating. And this coating is usually of what? It is of oleoresins, phenolic, vinyl, or epoxy coating. Okay, these types of coatings are being used so that the interaction between the tin and the formulation is avoided, or the corrosion of the container also does not take place because of your formulation. So your formulation may corrode the material. Okay, again this corrosion may again affect your formulation. Okay, so you are going to avoid that also because of this coating, and also the coating is going to avoid the interaction between the formulation and the tin. Okay, so it serves both the purposes. Now these tin plated steel containers are basically used for topical aerosols. If you have seen the glass container, if you remember about the glass containers are used for oral, okay, aerosols, and they are used for MDIs also, that is meter dose inhalers, which is used basically in asthma, etc. Okay, so for oral and for MDI, usually you are preferring the glass container because the reactivity, okay, is not that much. Whereas this metal containers, they are highly reactive, or they interact with your formulations, okay, hence they are basically used for your topical aerosols, right, where the toxicity problem is little bit less. Okay, moving ahead, the for the in metal containers, first we have seen about the tin plated steel containers. The second type of container that are used, metal containers that are used, are aluminum containers. Now these are extremely lightweight. You know how aluminum is, it is very light. Okay, it is lighter than your tin plated steel also. Okay, it is less reactive, okay, as other material. It is reactive, but it is less reactive to compared to other materials. Stainless steel is totally non-reactive. Okay, you have to remember that. Then as it is a little bit reactive, hence you have to coat it with the same coating, that is epoxy, vinyl, phenolic coatings. You have to give it to them, okay, so that in order to avoid the interaction between the aluminum and the formulation. Now this aluminum can also be anodized, okay, in order to give a stable coating, okay, and this anodization is of nothing but of aluminum oxide, okay, so it can be anodized, okay, in order to form a stable coating of aluminum oxide. Aluminum is basically used for inhalation as well as for topical aerosols, okay. Also, this aluminum containers is made up of 20 mm neck finish, like your glass container. This is also having your 20 mm neck finish in order to adapt your metered walls. Okay. Now there are some special containers which can have the neck finish also ranging from 15 to 20 mm. These containers, if you have seen what I told you about glass containers, they were having the sizes ranging from 15 to 30 mm. If you see the aluminum containers, they are having the size ranging from near about 10 ml to near about 1000 ml. Okay, this variety of sizes your aluminum container is available. Now, okay, going ahead with your aluminum container. Now these aluminum containers are basically manufactured by impact extrusion process. Whereas if you have seen your tin plated steel containers, what was done was they were cut into three parts. They were cut into your body, they were cut into the top, and they were cut into the bottom. Three parts were there, and these three parts were joined, and hence they were having a seam, they were having a joining. The joining I told was done by because with the soldering process or with the help of the welding process. Okay, but now because these aluminum containers are manufactured by impact extrusion process, hence they make them seamless. Therefore, they have great safety against leakages, against incompatibility, and against corrosion also. Let us see how the seamless procedure takes place, so you'll be able to understand. We have put the aluminum inside. So this is a container that has been manufactured. Okay. So from the bottom, okay, it has been sealed, whereas the top it is open. Inside that top, you can easily fix your what you call that, your valve, etc. Okay, in this way, it has been manufactured. So it doesn't have, what I was talking about. It does not have any seams. Okay, it does not have any joints, and hence it is having great safety against leakages. It is having great safety against incompatibility and against the corrosion. Right? You cannot manufacture in this way your tin plated steel container. The reason being because the tin plated, you have to first coat the steel sheet with your coating, okay, the thin coating, and then you have to mold it into the container. Hence this type of manufacturing, okay, extrusion process is not possible with your tin plated steel containers. Okay, now the last type of containers, as I told you, are stainless steel containers. Now these stainless steel containers are used for inhalation aerosols, the aerosols which are to be inhaled, okay, as I told you, in case of asthma, etc. So for inhalation aerosols, these steel containers are being used. Now stainless steel is used when the containers, okay, must be totally resistant to your product, okay, to your formulation. Okay, when you want this property, then basically you go for your stainless steel containers, right? They have great advantages. One of the advantages, it is extremely strong, but it is heavy in weight. Okay, then secondly, it is resistant to many material. Okay, and there is no need of internal coating, okay, to this container, because they are resistant. Okay, as they are resistant to the material, there is no need of external coating. But the major disadvantage that these containers have is they are costlier in nature. Except for cost, they have all the advantages.